What's up, my friends? Once again, it is Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm here in the X-Lair to help you get through yet another day with your X-Men statue withdrawal syndrome, the one thing that keeps you from having a happy life. The only way you can deal with it is by, on a consistent basis, checking out X-Men statue videos, preferably those produced by me. Um, and it's my pleasure to help you alleviate your symptoms. Hopefully one day we'll come up with a cure, but it might be expensive, so let's give it a little time, huh? Until then, let's focus on individual statues. Today we're going to focus on a very special individual statue. That special individual I don't know why I'm talking like I'm in a romance like thriller or something. All right, well, I'm going to stop being silly and I'm going to continue being hilarious. Now, I'm going to continue being insightful about these statues that I'm presenting. Specifically today, it's going to be Old Man Logan, a very impressive piece that is very sort of unique in that it only represents a very short amount of issues that told a very particular tale of Logan. Obviously, this is Wolverine, and you can see he's older. He's Old Man Logan. Um, I've got one of the issues back here. This is actually a variant of the first issue, Wolverine Old Man Logan. The variant is done by Michael Turner. Unfortunately, Michael Turner is now deceased, which sucks because he's just this amazing artist. Michael Turner is the guy who created Soulfire Grace and Fathom, um, but at some point he did some Marvel covers, and I mean he just did an amazing job here. It's just beautiful. Um, so this tale was told in 8 issues. It was written by Mark Miller and Steve McNiven. I think Steve McNiven is actually the artist. Was actually the artist for the tale. So it started in June of 2008. It ran in Wolverine number 66 through 72. I think this is like Wolverine Volume 3 or something. Um, it ran for 8 issues, and then it culminated in September of 2009 in its own story in Giants. So it's in Wolverine giant-sized Old Man Logan, and that sort of like told the final chapter of the tale. The tale is set in the future, as I said. So the future is like a dystopic kind of apocalyptic future in which all of the villains banded together finally to destroy all the heroes, and and so because they did that, they did win, and then they sort of divided up the world into various segments. So there's like a Doctor Doom era, and the Red Skull has made himself the president of the United States, and and Wolverine is living in Sacramento in the Hulk land. So the Hulk, I guess, so the Abomination, I guess, had taken over a certain area, but then the Hulk kind of overthrew him, and then he took over the area. But the area is now in the future. I forget how many years in the future it is, but obviously Logan's hair is gray, so obviously maybe 20, 30 years. Um, the Hulk's children, who it's actually not okay. So it's like several generations down, or a couple of generations down from the Hulk. After him and his cousin, the She-Hulk, had some children, and then there was a lot of inbreeding. So there's like these sort of like hillbilly, like inbred, like grandchildren, maybe. I think it might be grandchildren of the Hulk that kind of run this area, and they're a menace. Wolverine lives on a farm, I think, with a wife and 2 kids. He doesn't sheathe his claws anymore because so this terrible event happened to poor Logan. Um, when the villains struck, when they finally hatched their final plan to get rid of the heroes, um, Mysterio created this illusion for Logan that all the villains like Omega Red, Sinister, Sabretooth, the 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 gamut, running the gamut of X villains, uh, all of them had banded together to take out the X Men. So they invaded the X Mansion, is what Logan thought, based on what he was seeing, based on what Mysterio sort of led him to believe. Logan being alone and thinking that there's only one way for him to take out the threat, which is to kill all these people that are invading the home. He kills them all. Then Mysterio reveals to him that he was actually killing the X-Men. So he actually killed like 20 some odd X-Men. It was one of the most devastating moments of his life. He lost all his ability to sort of be who he was. Um, he like I said, he stopped sheathing his claws, and he sort of just became like a like a nomad with no drive. Eventually, he settles in Seattle, has a family, blah blah blah. But he doesn't have the drive to sort of try to take back the power from the supervillains. So that's why he's just been kind of in seclusion all these years, and he hasn't really been a force to be reckoned with. Now the story takes off with him sort of needing to pay the lease on this land that he has with his family, kind of being in dire straits, and Hawkeye, the old Hawkeye, now comes to him and says, "Well, I've got something I need to take east." It's sort of like a secret box that isn't revealed, the contents of which are not revealed. And so they go east. Logan's gonna benefit, like profit from this excursion. They go east, and then all sorts of crazy things happen. Uh, a couple interesting things that are kind of interesting elements of the story are, one, there's like a tyrannosaur running around from, I guess, the Savage Land. He sort of got onto the mainland after things just kind of, after civilization just kind of fell apart, and it got infected by the alien symbiote, which is Venom. So there's like a Venom Tyrannosaurus Rex running around. And Sideshow Collectibles, for some odd reason, before this statue was ever produced, decided to produce that. So there's like this Tyrannosaurus Rex sort of covered by this alien symbiote statue that exists, which is actually interesting. And I know a lot of people were kind of like laughing at it when it was released, but it's sort of an interesting piece. And if you're interested in getting this piece, that might actually be a nice piece to get, sort of to complement it, because it's the only other piece that that sort of reflects this particular storyline. Anyway, beyond like this story, beyond the crazy stuff that happened in the story, um, there's other stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but beyond that, there really isn't. There hasn't been any more Old Man Logan that we know of. So the fact that Bowen released his statue is interesting, given that it was such a short-lived sort of story. But obviously, it sparked Randy Bowen's interest enough to the point that he commissioned the Kucherek brothers to produce it. And of course, you need the Kucherek brothers, two very amazingly talented guys that do amazing work in the sculpts they make, to make something incredibly detailed and impressive as this statue wound up being. Um, so, so the base itself is a work of art, and I mean the whole statue is a work of art, but like the base is just incredible. But let me give you some details first. All right, so this is number 85 of 900. There are 900 of these in existence. And it was released in 2012. Right now it's the middle of 2013. So it was released last year. So it's still a fairly new statue, but I have seen that people are starting to scoop it up. People are starting to realize how impressive it is. As I said, the base is incredible. It's got like all sorts of like weird debris. They really took a lot of time to capture it. I've taken a lot of close-ups of it, so you can check those out on my blog. My blog is X-Men Statues of Future Past. I've got a link to it in the description for this video. I've got a link to my blog in the homepage for my YouTube channel. And it's not a direct link to the post for this statue, but all my collection that I've managed to post thus far with videos and photos have been listed on any page or on my blog on the top left in alphabetical order. So you can just scroll down to Wolverine, Old Man Logan, click on that, bam, you'll get to the post with this statue and the photos, and you'll be able to see how impressive it is close up. If you're not already impressed by it just by looking at this video, because you can't really help but not be impressed by it because there's so much detail in the statue, and it's so perfectly crafted that it just like oozes like potential for interest. I am very interested in it. I love it. It's hard. The only thing about it is like it's hard to display. Like there isn't really a place for it amongst other statues, so you kind of have to display it on its own. But like I mentioned, that Tyrannosaur statue, that symbiote infected Tyrannosaur statue, that sideshow release might complement it well and might make a nice display with it. Um, but that's my only concern with it, and because of that, it's actually one of the statues that I'm on the verge of maybe deciding maybe I want to sell it and get something else to put in the spot that it's in. Because again, as a collector, it's important to make important decisions about what should be in one's collection if space is limited. My space is limited, so and I'm starting to get to the capacity of what I'm able to display, so I have to start making some tough choices. It's a tough choice. I don't necessarily want to get rid of this one because it's beautiful. It's beautiful and I love having it, but again, one has to make tough decisions in this hobby. Fortunately, as I've mentioned before and I'll mention again, when you buy statues in this hobby, they don't lose their value. They maintain their value, so you can always sell it and get your money back. It's just a slight bit of trouble that you have to go through to list it or to find people to buy it on maybe StatueForum.com, StatueMarvels.com, or SideshowCollectors.com. Various forums where statue collectors like congregate and buy and sell their statues and talk about statues and go statue gaga. There's a lot of options to sell these statues to people that want them, so you can always get your money back. And that's what I'll do if I wind up selling him. I don't want to, but I think I might have to. We'll see. It has yet to be revealed. Anyway, like I said, the base incredibly detailed, all sorts of weird debris like chains and like pieces of metal and like rock. It's just gorgeous, like gorgeous, well thought out, well crafted. Just Kucherek at their prime, man. Just Kucherek, I love you guys. But that is not the most amazing part of the statue. The coat is phenomenal, like mwah, like just incredible, like so well detailed, and they did like this kind of like flowing in the wind state for it that's very dynamic, and it's got a slight sort of metallic sheen to it, so it looks kind of bronzy. All sorts of detail, wrinkles, really cool design, sort of giving it that sort of post-apocalyptic industrial look that they captured really well in the comic. There's all sorts of metal parts to it. Uh, the so the there's just man, it's just a great coat. Like I'm really impressed by it. I'm really impressed by it, by the rest of what Logan's wearing. It's all like the reason why it's hard for me to articulate how I feel about it is because I just keep seeing really cool things as I'm looking at it. I'm just like I don't know what to focus on because there's so much cool detail to the statue. Like it's just worn, tattered. There's holes in it. It's like it's great. Kucherek, man, Kucherek. Um, and then that goes on to like the pants, all tattered and worn, and like this kind of greenish color. The shirt also tattered and worn, and there's like wrinkles all over the place to give that realistic quality. The shoes look horrible, but perfectly horrible, which is what you want from a post-apocalyptic, accessory. Of course, he's got the claws, and it looks really great. I love like the positioning of the claws. It's just, and it's like really important because there's a really pivotal part of the story in which he finally does sheathe his claws. I'm not going to talk about how that happens because if you haven't read the story, I'm not going to completely spoil it for you. But obviously, that's a major story point. He doesn't bare his claws, and then finally he does. Something causes that. You have to read the story to find out what that is. But I really love that the Kucherek brothers decided to feature his claws so prominently in such a great sort of stance where he's just kind of like, I've got my claws and I'm pissed for a reason that you'll have to read to find out. So everything's great. but as is usually the case and is usually sort of pivotal for any statue, the face and the head needs to be perfect. They did not disappoint. His face is fantastic. It's like it's like a stern, kind of like emotionless uh, uh, look, and the hair is just perfectly sculpted, like just all over his face, all the way down to his beard, and he's got like wrinkles in all the right places on his face to the point where it's like you know that it's still Logan. It's still the guy that doesn't age that fast, and but I mean he's been through a lot, and eventually time does wither him. I don't know. There's something so perfect about the way they sculpted his face that just kind of makes the statue. But like I said, the coat is incredible. The base is fantastic. Like as a standalone piece, like if you are someone that doesn't collect statues and you're looking for just something really impressive to have in your home that kind of reflects the fact that you're an X fan and you love statues, this is actually a really good one to get because it's so well crafted. It just looks really cool and it's just really interesting to look at. So I'd say that it would be it would be a cool thing for you to have if you're not interested in collecting statues, but like really cool things in your home. Um, anyway, just awesome, awesome statue, awesome story. Really enjoyed reading it. Read it a couple years ago, and I just kind of sat and read the whole thing because it was one of those like edge of your seat type stories that they did a really great job on. Really great job. The guy that wrote it is Mark Miller. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the guy that 20th Century Fox hired to sort of be the guardian of the Marvel properties. So he's actually a really great storyteller. So he might actually lead the cinematic universe that the 20th Century Fox controls, which is the X-Men, which is Spider-Man, which is the Fantastic Four, into like a unified, interesting sort of set of movies that hopefully will come out in the next few years and will be, will be able to rival the success and the quality of the Avengers and the Avengers related films that Marvel and Disney did, which are just of the highest quality. You all know, I'm sure you all seen it. Anyway, folks, that is it as much as I wanted to talk about in regards to this incredible statue. Again, you can check out more pics of it on my blog. I have too many pics because there was so much to show that I just couldn't stop taking photos and posting them. So you can check those out there. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate you checking out the video, my blog. My video channel is Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Lair. Subscribe if you're interested in getting regular updates on the various videos that I'm going to be uploading. I have much more content that is in line to be posted, and I'm not just doing individual statue posts. I'm sort of getting creative with the material that I'm going to be posting. So there's all sorts of interesting stuff coming up. Thank you for your support. Thank you for checking out this video. And as always, X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. I'll catch you all very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.